Hello students, welcome to my live teaching learning session of MMPC 016. Its paper name is Introduction to International Business and the MMPC 016 course code is this and the title of this paper is International Business Management. In today's session, we will discuss about block 1 and unit 1. We will cover in this block Introduction to International Business, Dynamics of International Business. Block 1 is related with Introduction to International Business. It means in this unit we will clarify that what is the meaning of international business and how we can manage international business organizations. And what are the dynamics of international business? All these things will be covered in unit 1. So let us start from the first topic, introduction. In this unit, dynamics of international business in unit 1, we will discuss about whole topics of this unit. One is introduction and after that domestic versus international trade or business. What is the difference between domestic business and international business? Importance of international business and what are the benefits of international business, what challenges they have to face, and why do firms go internationally involved in business enterprises. And after that, we will conclude from the session. Now, after reading this unit, you will be able to know the origin of international trade and explain the concept and dynamics of international business, understand the reason behind firms going international, and appreciate the benefits and advantages of international business. So in this dynamics of international business in this unit, we will discuss about all these topics. Let us start from first topic, introduction. You know that international business is at present it's a very relevant subject and it's a very important concept in present scenario. International business as a discipline of a recent origin. It's hard to imagine a world without international business because at present all the economies are open economies and all economies have relationship with rest of the world. And most of the countries, either it may be developed or developing, they have followed globalization. And globalization is an integral relationship with rest of the world. Globalization is a process in which each and every country improve their integral relationship with abroad or rest of the world. So international business is a very important thing. Virtually every nation, howsoever small it may be, has firm involved in various types of international business activities. It is through these activities that nation enjoy the benefit of international business by trading a variety of goods and services produced around the world and made available locally. International business, conventionally called as international trade. Conventionally, this topic is related with international trade, but at present it is converted in international business. Has been known to exist ever since man learned to live in an organized manner. Because India is a open economy and India is doing trade with rest of the world since independence and before independence also. During colonial time period, India's trading partner were Britain, USA, and some other countries. But at present, you know that India is the member of WTO and founder member of WTO, World Trade Organization, and India is doing trade with most of the world countries, and that is called it means each and every country is involved in international business or international trade. We are not doing trade only in a domestic level. We are doing trade with rest of the world, with abroad. So international trade is a very uh, good phenomena and it's a very important concept in present scenario. Now, the fundamental basis of international trade lies in the fact that countries are endowed with by nature with different resources. Resources are not equally distributed or allocated by God in whole world. Some countries are rich in some good things and some countries are poor by natural resources. For example, Japan has no natural resources and African continent is very rich in natural resources. You know, there are three types of resources. One is natural resources, which is given by nature or by God. Second is human resources, which is also called asset of the country. And third is physical resources or capital resources, in which we include buildings, machines, plant and equipments, and heavy technologies, and all other things which are necessary for the production of goods and services. So, international trade, why this international trade lies? This international trade lies in the fact that countries are endowed by nature. Endowed means factors, and each and every country have different resources. Some have geographically, and some are, most of the countries are different from geographical aspect, physical aspect, and climatic features also. Some countries have a monopoly of certain crops. For example, Bengal in India and have high jute production, and Punjab produces best quality of basmati rice. International business is thus inevitable when there are marked difference in the countries regarding material, natural vegetation, climate, soil, and other physical and geographical conditions. It is also affected by several other factors besides natural and geographical factors. So, international trade generally based on specialization and division of labor. When a person work according to its efficiency or skill, then he will be more able to do that work at lesser time. He will take less time and can do work very efficiently due to specialization and division of labor. And at present, each and every country is not able to produce all the goods and services independently. They all are dependent on each other. As we know that depend under the dependency theory, world is divided into three categories. One is uh, periphery countries, other countries are quasi periphery, and some countries are uh, core countries. Core countries are known as developed countries, and periphery countries are underdeveloped countries on which developed countries always dependent for resources. Because each and every country has no equal resources, they have no equally distributed all the available resources. That's why they all are dependent on each other. That's why they involved in the international business or international trade. Next is though international business as a discipline, as stated earlier, is of a recent origin, international trade is claimed to be as old as the history of mankind itself. Even at the most tribal level, Communities found it in their interest of trade, albeit in a very primitive manner and involving the exchange of simple objects, mostly for immediate consumption. Historically, trade was in the form of barter. Barter is a system in which goods are exchanged by goods. No money transaction is involved in barter system. When money was not originated, then trade was held in between the nations and the different people with the help of this barter system. In this barter system, goods are exchanged for another goods, and it was undertaken both for social as well as economic reasons. Even though modern trade is conducted in far more advanced forms, forms and for more complex reasons than ever before, the basic human needs for trade remains the same. As well as population of the world increases, that's why demand for goods and services also going to increase. But we know that resources are limited and wants are always unlimited. We can't fulfill unlimited want with the help of limited resources. That's why each and every country has to depend on other countries for the fulfillment of their country people demand, and they involve in the business of international trade. Domestic trade is not uh, able to fulfill all the requirements of the country people, so that each and every country involved in international trade and participate in international business. Many countries around the world have witnessed substantial growth in the economy in the past 2 decades. There has been faster growth in the international transactions, especially in the form of FDI. This FDI is foreign direct investment. And in India and other developing countries, FDI is coming through multinational corporations. And multinational corporations are huge and giant size companies or corporations. Their parent country is belong to developed nations, and their host countries are generally underdeveloped or developing countries. For example, a Japanese company doing business in India through FDI, it means that will be called MNC, multinational corporations. Multinational corporations are those corporations which spread their businesses in most of the developing countries for earning maximum profit. And in that country on which they started their business, that is called host country. And the country from which they belong, that is called parent country. They generally earn profit from the host country and send it to their parent country. Through FDI, they invest bulk of the money in developing countries. Not only has the total stock of capital grown rapidly, but more significantly, there has been growth in the number of subsidiaries of multinational corporations. There also have been the growth in the numbers of countries in which specific firms were active, as both international trade and investment grew rapidly. International competition became more intense, and many national industries became global industries. We know that India has followed globalization in their new economic policy, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. All these three main concepts adopted by India in 1991. Globalization is a process in which a business looks at the world market as one single market without the barriers, without the obstacle without the hurdles or without any restrictions of social, cultural, economic, political, or commercial factors which separate different country markets. For example, India and USA can be different in terms of economic factors such as per capita income of USA is very large and per capita income of India is very less. Economic factor in this factor USA per capita income and the purchasing power of the country people are very higher. That's why they are called developed countries and poor countries. Since these barriers are less effective in the global scenario, it leads to the increased movement of goods and services without any hurdles, without any obstacles across boundaries, namely trade and investment, often of people through migration. Under this globalization scenario, goods and services can be easily traded with other countries. Labor can be easily migrated from one country to another country for searching jobs opportunities and living better life. And we can easily flow our investment from domestic country to world countries. So all things become easy with the help of this globalization process. Trade, investment, people, goods and services, each and everything can be moved from one country to another country, one place to another place with the help of this globalization process. Next is, what is the difference between domestic and international business? The basic principle of business concerning tasks, functions, and processes that apply to international business are the same as that of domestic business. But the difference is domestic business mainly trade goods and services with only in within the country, not between the countries. But if you are selling your goods across the country, that is called international trade. If you are selling goods and services within the country, from one place to another place, one state to another state, one district to another district, that is called domestic business. In domestic business, we can trade only in our country and our country people can buy that goods and services which are produced in our country. But international trade is a very broader concept, and with the help of this international trade, goods and services can move from one country to another country easily without any restrictions. However, the environment in which domestic and international firms operate, it varies considerably and therefore requires an international firm to modify and adopt its business practices country by country. Unlike a domestic business manager, an international business manager faces greater difficulties, greater uncertainties, and more importantly, much greater risk. In domestic trade, there is less risk, less uncertainties, and less difficulty of the manager. On the other hand, in case of international business or international trade, international manager faces more difficulties, greater uncertainties, and more importantly, much greater risk. During this international trade, risk is much more included in these activities instead of domestic trade. The differentiation between domestic and international business can broadly be done on the following parameter. What are the base of differentiation between these two types of businesses? Number one is culture. Each country in each the firm operates is culturally different. To be successful, the firm must operate in a culturally sensitive manner and within the constraint of the country, determined manner, values, customs, and norms of the host country. An international business manager must respect and empathize with cultural differences in all aspects of business and social life. Culture is different in different countries. So, when we are doing international trade with other countries, then host country must uh, take precautions and must take sensitive actions for different customs, values, and norms of the host countries. So, international business manager must respect and empathize with cultural differences in all aspects of business and social life. Next point is fiscal and government policies. Fiscal policy is that policy which is made by government. In fiscal policy, government decide that how much revenue government will collect and how much uh, revenue of this earning or revenue income, how government will spend this revenue on different economic, social, and political activities. So, conducting business across international national borders involve the use of different currencies and observing different government rules and regulations, limiting the firm's freedom of action. For example, restrictions on the amount of profit to be transferred, different government practices, different exchange rate of policies and systems ranging from daily decrease about the value of the local currency in terms of the world major currencies to fixed rate or floating exchange rate system. These practices add greater risk and uncertainty to the already highly risky and uncertain nature of international financial transactions. To be successful, the firm must develop an appropriate strategy to deal with these differences and the associated problem. So, under this point, fiscal and government policies, it means when we are conducting business across national borders, then we have to convert our currencies into foreign currencies. Then government, we have to follow some rules and regulations which is decided by the government, and we have to follow the exchange rate system and what type of exchange rate is existing in that particular country. Either it may be fixed exchange rate system or flexible exchange rate system. Fixed system is that system under which a currency's exchange value is fixed by the government and that remains always same. Earlier, it was fixed exchange rate system was prevailing in the economy and the whole world. Under fixed exchange rate system, gold was the standardized currency, and through gold we can easily trade with other countries. But at present, this fixed exchange rate system is not existing anywhere. At present, floating exchange rate or flexible exchange rate system is going on, under which exchange rate is determined through the forces of demand for dollars and supply of dollar or foreign currencies, where both curve intersect each other. Demand curve is generally downward sloping, supply curve is upward sloping, where both curve intersect each other. Flexible exchange rate is determined, and that rate can be changed. Either it may be changed in demand. If demand increases, demand for dollar increases, then rate of exchange will also increase. If demand for dollar falls, then rate of exchange will also falls. If supply of dollar increases, rate of exchange will fall. And if supply of dollar decreases, then rate of exchange will rise. So there is a lot of uncertainties and risky practices involved in international business. So we must keep in mind while doing international businesses, then fiscal and government policies, what type of policies government have make for doing this international business, so that we can overcome these riskiness and all the associated problem which is related with international business. Next is legal environment. While doing international trade, the legal environment, that differ from country to country, requiring firms to show particularly sensitivity of laws, rules, regulations, which may affect operations and performance. Disregarding or disobeying the law of the host country can be very damaging to the finance and the image of the firm. If any country or any business enterprises is disregarding or disobeying the law of the host country, it can be very damaging to the finance and the image of the firm. Laws pertaining to joint ownership of asset, for example, are often very complicated, bureaucratic, frustrating, and time consuming. Legal difficulties are often the source of serious dispute or conflicts between the host government and the firm, requiring protected negotiations which may end in failure to invest or to continue the existing business. So legal environment also affects international business system, and if legal environment is favorable for doing business activities, then international trade will be in will be promote, and most of the countries will engaged in international business. So legal environment always differ from country to country, and it is based on laws, rules, regulations which may affect operations and performance of the international business as well as domestic business. Next point is consumer taste and preferences. Difference in consumer taste and preferences and demand pattern arising from cultural differences require the firm to adopt appropriate production, procurement, and marketing strategies to minimize cost and maximize profit or maintain the firm's value. For example, McDonald, for example, does not offer beef and pork items in India and sells only vegetarian food dishes in predominantly vegetarian state of Gujarat. So while doing international business, then we must have keep in mind that what type of taste and preferences of the consumer who are living in that host country. So seller should remember and should sell those goods and services which is demanded by the consumer in host countries. Then their business can be uh, more successful, and they can attain more profit, and they can minimize the cost of the production also. Next point is availability of factors of production. Factors of productions are generally four: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Different countries have different factors endowments with different qualities, requiring the firm to formulate and implement suitable product development and logistic strategies consistent with the availability and quality of resources in the host countries. Certain skills or supplies may be either unavailable or available in limited quantities and qualities. If unavailable, the firm must either import them or to develop local resources source of supply. It means availability of factor of production also affects domestic business as well as international business activities. If factors of productions are easily available, then business will grow at a faster rate and we can easily trade within the country and between the countries. But if resources are unavailable, then firm must either import these resources from other countries and develop local source of supply. So this is also the main factor which affects domestic as well as international business activities. Next is importance of international business. What are the importance of international business in this contemporary world or present scenario? In recent years, international business has acquired additional importance for host countries in particular and world economies in general as a result of development in the following areas. Why international business play very important role in host country and in whole world? It has it has based on some factors. We can explain importance of international business with the help of these points. The following areas we can describe for showing the importance of international business. First point is technology diffusion. Technological development are transmitted to each and every corner of the earth through the practices of international business. This transmission is not only in the form of product and services used every day, but also in the form of modern management, production, marketing, and logistics system employed by domestic as well as international firms. So, for this technological advancement, technically advanced countries transfer their technologies to developing countries for the betterment of their quality of life in less developed countries. So technology diffusion play very important role in international business. With the help of this technological advancement, techniques can be transmitted to every corner of the earth through the practices of international business. Second is stimulation to competition. Except in the case of entry through acquisition, the arrival of an international firm in the host country, either in partnership with a local firm or its own, may stimulate or encourage domestic competition and lead to increased entrepreneurial challenges, especially in the developing countries. International firms with superior worldwide experience, knowledge, technology, and other relevant resources have the ability to offer goods and services often at lower price and higher quality. If we want to increase the competition level, then international business play a very important role in increasing the competition within the industries of the country and between the countries. So, if international business increases in all over the world, then it will stimulate domestic competition as well as international competition and it will increase entrepreneurial challenges, especially in developing countries. And with the help of this stimulation to competition, international firms with superior worldwide experience, knowledge, and technology, and all other relevant resources, they can offer good quality, good quality of product, and at lower price with higher quality in all over the world. Next is higher living standard or higher standard of living. International business play very important role in increasing the standard of living of the country people. Availability of a wide range of goods of international quality of competitive price has brought many so-called luxurious product within the reach of common man, especially in developing countries. Thanks to international business, the standard of living in many developing countries has increased significantly. So international business play a very important role in increasing the standard of living of the host country or developing country people. Fourth point is adapting to international environment. A business firm operates within its internal and external environment. The internal environment is one over which the firm has considerable control. The firm determines the own internal environment factors by specifying its corporate mission, organizational structure, recruitment policy, and its relationship with suppliers, etc. The external environment is one over which the firm has little or no control. So there are two types of environment which affects business activities. Either it may be domestic business activities or international business activities. And these two types of environment are internal environment and external environment. Internal environment can be controllable by the government, but external environment can't be controlled by any business entrepreneurs. Internal environment is one which has the control over the firm. The firm can determine its own internal environment factors by specifying its business strategies, mission, goals, structure, policies, but external environment can't be under control. Coming to global business and economic reforms, government an important role in the development and promotion of international business activities. At present, no one country is free from government rules and regulations because GM Keynes and some other economists realize that government is necessary for maintaining the economic, political, social, all activities of the economy. But some economists was in favor of laissez-faire economy or capitalist economy without any interference of the government. They agreed at this thing that if economy government does not interfere in any economic activity, then economy can achieve higher growth rate and can run all activities smoothly. But new classical economics agreed on this thing that they give the importance of government role, and they said that government play very important role in any economic activities or any economy for the development and growth. So government play very important role in the development and promotion of international business activities. They provide a great variety of financial and non-financial incentives to attract FDI into their countries. Often in competition with their neighbor, the increased scale of liberalization of trade and investment, deregulation of domestic industries, and privatization of state-owned enterprises has the main attraction of foreign direct investment and foreign businesses as one of its primary objectives. These measures have created immense international business opportunities. Economic reform. India has adopted this economic reform system during 1991. And in 1991, India followed this policy of LPG, in which L is liberalization and P is privatization and G is globalization. And this LPG policy uh, is really very beneficial for international business opportunities. It also created very good and immense uh, opportunities for international business activities. Next is economic cooperation and integration. One of the most fundamental impacts of the process of internationalization since the end of the World War II, it has been the progressive ending of the isolation of national economies. Gradually, more and more barriers to international trade and investment are being replaced. At present, all the economies are preferring more liberal policies, more privatization of the enterprises for enhancing business activities, and they are following globalization. They are adopting this globalization process in which we are increasing integral relationship with rest of the world. So gradually more and more barriers, restrictions to international trade and investment are being replaced with measures designed to enhance cooperation and coordination among nation states. The need to cooperate and coordinate over wide geographical areas has led to the formation of regional grouping in the form of free trade areas, resulting in rapid increase in the growth of international business activities. There are two types of trade system. One is free trade system and second is protective trade system. Most of the developed countries mainly emphasize that each and every country should focus on free trade policy. They should adopt this free trade policy system. Under this free trade policy system, each and every country is free to export or import any type of goods and services without any restrictions, without any permission by the government. But some developing countries and some less developed countries argue that if we are following this free trade system, then most of the illegal activities and the illegal products will smuggle or smuggling will increase and illegal productivities trade will also increase under this free trade regime. So they followed that protective trade policy is much better than free trade policy, because under free trade policy, only developed countries will take advantages from doing international businesses. But developing countries will not take more advantages. And under free trade system, monopoly power will increase, smuggling will increase, illegal activities, illegal product trade will increase, and economic power will be concentrated in fees. So, developing countries and domestic trade will hamper by doing this free trade. So, developing countries argue that free trade policy is not good always. So, we should follow protective trade policy. Under this policy, we must have to protect our domestic industries from foreign competition, and infant industries or small industries and cottage industries, we should give protection to these industries. And for removing this monopoly power and concentration of economic power and to control the illegal activities, business activities, we should follow which type of policy? Active trade policy. Next is benefits of international business. What type of benefit or advantages we can take by doing this international business? Foreign trade gives rise to several advantages, some of which are as follows. One is mutual exchange. As seen earlier, the countries in foreign trade stand to gain by exchange of goods and services. If we exchange goods and services with other countries, then we can take different variety of goods at lower prices. Second is higher standard of living. Because of mutual exchange of product, the citizens of trading partners or trading countries can enjoy the goods and services which are not available or can't be produced in their own country. For example, in the absence of international trade, the people staying in Arabian Gulf countries would have lived a miserable life for want of many essential items like foodstuff, clothing, etc. But thanks to international trade, they can sell oil and in return, they can buy whatever they need. This has helped them to improve their standard of living. Next is stabilization of prices. For stabilizing the price of the country, if we are engaged in international business, then price can be more stable. It is said are a function of demand and supply. You know that price is always fixed by the forces of demand and supply curve. Naturally, during the time of natural calamities like flood, famine, etc., the supply of food grain will be affected. Thus, when a country can't grow sufficient amount of food grain required for its domestic consumption, they have to be imported to maintain adequate supply and prices. The same principle holds goods when there is a surplus of production, the excess production may be exported to maintain prices in the domestic market and vice versa. If we have deficient or deficiency of production, then we can import goods and services from the abroad to maintain prices in the domestic market. Because we know that if demand is more than supply, then price will rise. If supply is more than demand, then price will fall. Then how we can stabilize this price level? To engage ourselves in international business. By doing trade with rest of the world, either it may be export or import, we can maintain the price level in the domestic market. Next is specialization. As seen earlier, a country tends to export such products in which it has comparative or absolute advantage. For example, India in rice or Gulf countries in oil. In Gulf countries, they are rich in oil. They can export oil to the developing countries and they can buy food products from the agricultural economies or developing countries. When a country keeps on exporting the same product over a number of years, it leads to specialization. So, comparative cost advantage and absolute cost advantage theory is based on specialization. International trade is based on specialization and division of labor. Next is increased productivity. Because of the geographical specialization and expertise attained, the country can produce more goods and better quality of goods and services, which in turn leads to higher productivity. The excess capacity, if any, of industrial production can be utilized fully, this will lead to economies of scale of large scale production. The shining example is of Japanese car manufacturers. So, if globally we are specialized or expertise in any particular commodity, then we can make that good in a very good way or in a better quality of goods and services we can provide, and higher productivity will also exist in our economy. So if there is excess capacity in any industrial product, it can be fully utilized due to increase in demand. If we are doing business in a large scale, then we will get so many advantages like internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. It will also help in improving the international business activities. Next is wider markets. Many firms are attracted towards the international market for the growing opportunities for their product in other countries. This may be because of the saturation in the domestic market or because the foreign market may be more profitable. Economic development due to the foreign trade, economy can develop at a very faster rate. Due to the foreign trade, developing countries like India can earn valuable foreign exchange through exports. The income of the government in the form of custom duty can also increase. Countries like Japan, UK, and USA have achieved economic growth through imports of raw material and exports of finished goods or manufactured goods. So, international business activities are very necessary for attaining high growth rate and development. Promotion of international peace. When countries are engaged in trade with each other and depend upon each other for their requirement, the tension amongst them gets reduced and a bond of relationship may develop. This will help in developing the cultural and social relations along with the business relations. So, international peace will also increase or promote with the help of this international business activities. Next is challenges. What are the challenges in international businesses? As seen earlier, international trade differ from domestic trade in a different aspects. In a number of aspects, we have studied that international trade is different from domestic trade. As compared to domestic trade, foreign trade faces some peculiar or unique difficulties which are as follows. One is distance and high cost of transport. International trade is generally carried over a long distance between the place of manufacture or origin and a place of consumption. The transport cost may be huge and hence distance play a major role in decision making. So first challenge is high cost of transport. Second is time lag. Due to the above factor, it takes much more time to execute an order. It may take several months to realize the money after the receipt of an order and dispatch of goods. For the longer the time lag, much more risk will involve. Longer the time lag, more is the risk of the cargo being damaged in transit, especially it is if it is a perishable good or it can't be storable for longer time period. Third is language, customs and laws. Every country have different languages, social culture, socially different, culturally different, and legal practices are also different in different countries. These differences can create a hindrance in the smooth flow of international trade. Further, the difference in language can also act as a barrier. For example, while trading with Arabian countries, the knowledge of Arabic would be of greater advantage. Many a times, these differences in language lead to misunderstanding. Next is currency and measurement. Each and every country has its own currency which is subject to fluctuation in exchange rates. This fluctuation must be properly understood in terms of the currency in the domestic market. Further, the system of weight and measurement followed in foreign market may be quite different than the one in the domestic market. For example, the system followed in India is metric system, but USA does not follow the same. One must understand how to convert one thing into the other. So this is the major challenge while doing international business activities. Next is government control, regulations and taxes. Every government sets its own rules and regulations for import of goods and export of goods and services. These rules may differ from commodity to commodity and from country to country. Depending upon the country of origin, there may be different sets of rules. For example, when European Union countries trade with each other, they charge negligible or no import duty. But when these countries trade with outsiders, they charge heavy duties. Next point is risk and uncertainty. While doing international business activities, because of these difficulties mentioned above, export import trade is full of risk and uncertainty and hence needs specialized knowledge. Next is a firm seeking to enter into foreign markets may do so though one or more of the following mechanism arrangement. One is exporting. As its most risk-averse
Scalar is
phase, a
organizing
firm
this
decides
free
to
workshop.
enter foreign market through licensing arrangement with a
फिर
local
देखो
firm.
ये बात तो हम सब
The firm is willing to accept the risk of servicing
फिर देखो
foreign
ये बात तो हम
currencies
सभी को पता है कि जो एप्पल का
and
मैक
foreign
लाइनअप है
markets
फिर
to
चाहे वो
exports.
मैकबुक
This
हो
means
या मैक
exposing
स्टूडियो
oneself
हो
to
या
the risk
आईमैक हो मैक
of
मिनी हो
present
वो कितना ज्यादा वर्सेटाइल है
non-payment
कितना ज्यादा पावरफुल है इन टर्म्स
fluctuations
ऑफ
among
जो जो
others.
चीजें हम उससे
The
अचीव
firm
कर पाते हैं
discovered
बट जो
that to
प्राइस है
consolidate
वो
and
कई बार
extend the
लगता है कि
gains
यार
of
कुछ ज्यादा हो रही है
export
लेकिन यहाँ पे
opportunities in
गाइस
business.
इस बार इस वीडियो
It
में हम
must
बात करने
invest
वाले
on
हैं
the
इसी
creation of
लेटेस्ट
a
एप्पल
marketing
मैक
setup
मिनी के बारे में
in
जो
the
कि आता है
foreign
एप्पल की
markets.
लेटेस्ट M2 चिप के साथ में आप
So
इस
what
वीडियो को
are
लाइक शेयर करते
the
आगे देखते रहिए और हम पता
following
लगाते हैं कि
mechanism
आखिर
or
एप्पल ने इस
arrangements
मैक
if any
मिनी
firm
में
want
कितनी
to enter
मैक्स
in
परफॉर्मेंस
foreign
को पैक
market
किया है
or
नमस्कार
in
दोस्तों मेरा नाम है
international
गौरव
business
आप देख रहे हैं टेक्निकल गुरुजी
Number one thing
चलिए
is
शुरू करते हैं
and franchising through franchising.
तो शुरुआत करते हैं ऑफ कोर्स अनबॉक्सिंग एक्सपीरियंस के साथ विच इज अगेन यू नो हर बार एप्पल प्रोडक्ट्स का काफी अच्छा ही होता है और जो फील है वो आपको पता है कितना अच्छा मिलता है ओहो सबसे पहले कोल्ड टू द टच एल्यूमिनियम का ये पूरा दोस्तों इसका बिल्ट है खैर इसको हम रखते हैं साइड में अंदर एप्पल का यही प्यार मोहब्बत वाला सामान डिजाइन बाय एप्पल इन कैलिफोर्निया मैक में के लिए क्विक स्टार्ट गाइड कुछ और डिटेल्स और भाई ये तो बहुत बड़ा वाला एप्पल स्टिकर है भाई ये तो आप कहीं चिपकाओ और दोस्तों को जलाओ बताओ देखो भाई हमने लिया है नया वाला मैक नीचे ऑफ कोर्स वी हैव दिस स्टैंडर्ड यू नो पावर केबल अगर हम बात करते हैं इनको साइड रखते हुए सबसे पहले इसकी और हटाते हैं इसको
property rights such as copyright, trademark, patent. This definition clearly brings out of
What's
the
the
fact
significance of line
that,
chart
that
compared
as
to
an
the
entry
candlestick?
mode, this option is
Line chart will
not
plot a line.
available to all
Candle-
firms. When a company is
Candle-
unwilling to
candlestick
take
chart
any
will
risk
plot a candle,
for the
that's all.
sake of international
दोनों
business,
चाहिए।
it sometimes opt for
हाँ, समय,
licensing
big movement, big
as
movement,
the
big
mode
movement.
of entry. And under licensing agreement, the holder of the knowledge, technical know-how, who have technically more knowledge, they can transfer the same to the buyer for his use against the payment of a fixed amount, which can either be
Movement,
a
big movement,
one-time
big
lump
movement.
sum payment or a percentage of sale or a combination of the two. Third is international joint venture. International joint venture involves creation of a separate legal entity by an association of two or more
People are making a
firms.
holy function, you can say
Normally,
that.
one of the partner will be a local firm, though it is not necessarily so. So the choice of this entry method is dictated by several important considerations. The foreign firm can thus make an entry into a market even with a minor participation and still can have substantial management control. Next is subsidiaries and acquisitions. Wholly owned subsidiaries have been the preferred entry mode for larger enterprises. The advantages
Hindenburg is a
of
what?
complete ownership are
Product?
avoidance
क्या
of
Hindenburg क्या? I don't know
conflicts of
Hindenburg.
interest, as many happen in the case of joint venture, and fullest exploitation of
No,
the
Prem, I
market
think there was some
potential
glitch, it just
in
came in.
terms of both
कुछ issue हुआ था
manufacturing and
right now.
marketing.
Just
Next
cut
is
and go,
summary.
cut and go. The stream.
Now we can conclude from the above discussion that we have discussed about what is the meaning of international
pump ही बोल रहा है,
business
dump नहीं बोल रहा है.
activities
Let's see.
and what is the difference between domestic trade and international trade and what
हाँ ट्रेड खाली हाथ
Role
कैसे जाओगे? You are holding
played
a
by
P ना from yesterday,
international
1,200 का loss.
business and
Maybe
what
you lose maybe
advantages
2,000,
we
3,000 या
can take
4,000. Right?
from engaging
Don't worry, you'll not lose
in
anything.
business international business activities. Now we can summarize
नहीं मेरे को नहीं लगा Hindenburg, what is that? I
this
don't know.
unit
पहली बार सुना है
that
नाम.
international business may
Is
be
that a new
defined
IPO आ रहा है
as
इसका मतलब? I
business
don't know.
carried out across
new IPO
national
coming in the market.
boundaries. The genesis of international business may be traced back to the ancient
तो
times when
हिंदनबर्ग
different
है कि
well-known
हिंडनबर्ग है?
communities carried on their trading activities in
Market is
different
not
parts
bad
of
if you're
the
taking that
world.
20-30 points and exiting the market in
The
1 minute time frame.
multinational corporations
If you're using a 1
are the
minute chart,
central
15 से
actors
20 पॉइंट
in
दे ही रहे हो.
international
Keep ITM.
business. There could be several reasons behind a firm
VDL.
move to
VDL was dropping down.
internationalize
VDL नीचे आ
its
रहा था. 1 minute
business.
VDL.
A firm may want to engage in international business in search of new markets to widen its
VDL को क्या हो
present
गया? It's at
market for goods
267
and
right now.
services. To
The
overcome
bottom level,
the
one level is
barriers
around
that it
exactly touching
perceives
that.
would confront if it
259.60,
goes
259.60 को
international.
break करके नीचे गया.
To
VDL
reap
can
the
go to
benefits of
245.70,
economies of scale
245.50.
by doing large scale of business activities and to take advantages of the opportunities offered by other governments or to protect its domestic market from foreign competition by following protective trade policies. So, in today's session, in international business management, we have discussed about international business
Indian
enterprises
burgers.
and
You know,
all
again
those
it's getting
things,
up.
what role they
50
have
jail bar.
played and what are the challenges they have to
50
face
is some
and what
making
are
some,
the
you know, the
entry mode
statement I
in
think. 50
international
का jail bar ऊपर आ रहा है,
business
0 के ऊपर और
activities.
BN का नीचे.
Now, thank you. Next topic we will discuss in next session. Thank you.
पोजीशन के लिए ऐड मत करना, नीचे जा रहा है उसको जाने देना और क्या, कुछ सब न्यूज़ रहेगा. PL you are holding